Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are talking about how shorts all want AMC, the AMC success, how shorts are now facing huge losses, and many more in this video. First, we're taking a look at this. Are we ready to discuss the rise of institutional ownership here? It's odd how the very same people buying AMC stock are also paying for mainstream dump articles. So one thing we've talked about on this channel consistently is keeping track of the institutional ownership of AMC, because it shows that despite what everyone is saying about AMC, we're seeing these institutions spending large amounts of capital into accumulating AMC, and we're seeing how that's going up. So despite all of these articles saying that AMC is going to go bankrupt, that AMC's fundamentals not improving, well, the chart is actually showing something else. When you take an actual look at the earnings, especially with the ones that's going to be coming out soon, we know that AMC is doing well, but it's also to say that these articles are being used to mislead people into not actually buying AMC, into staying away from AMC, because the institutions are actually buying themselves. And another thing that we've also seen as well is that we see firms like Goldman Sachs, like Citadel, who are constantly spoofing AMC. Now, we talked about the act of spoofing is to manipulate and obviously suppress the price of a particular stock. In this case, AMC. Now, these very companies that are suppressing AMC, that are spoofing AMC, are also the ones that's recently been accumulating and buying AMC. We talked about how Goldman Sachs sold off their put positions, bought into calls, bought into longs. Now, they're a company who are spoofing AMCs while buying AMC. Clearly, something doesn't make sense. And we've always said this is because they want to throw the retail off this train. They don't want retail to hold on to AMC. So in the meantime, they're obviously suppressing AMC. They're pushing the price down to incentivize retail from leaving. And when retail sells all their shares, the institutions can buy up the actual shares because they realize just how much of an investment opportunity AMC is. We've seen this with countless amount of other companies as well, when we've seen how companies give out these articles on AMC saying it's bankrupt, saying you should stay away, yet they're giving a high price target, or at least they're increasing their price target, and they're also buying AMC. And so that obviously speaks a lot of volume. And then we're looking at here from Adam Aron. AMC Entertainment has successfully closed refinancing transactions that strengthen our balance sheet and position us to prosper from the current robust box office recovery. Watch out, world. We look to the future of optimism, momentum, and confidence. So this obviously speaks a lot for the future of AMC. Recently, AMC obviously underwent the restructure of their debt, and we talked about how they are able to pay off some debt and they are able to get rid of some interest payments that previously were extremely costly, and that was obviously eating into their profits. And so with all of this, what it allows AMC to do is free up even more cash to do more things, whether that's to pay off more debt, whether that's to make investments. That's for AMC, but that's the position that we are in right now. And so you will understand that going into the future, when you take a look at the finance sheet, you will see from all aspects, AMC is going to be doing well. Whether it's the fact that we are making revenue because how well the box office is doing, how well AMC is able to capitalize off it, or whether it's with the decrease in terms of cost because they are able to pay off all of these debt, they are able to get rid of the high interest payments, AMC is going to be doing exceptionally well. And so this is what we see. And remember, institutions see this as well. And it's precisely because they realize just how well AMC is doing right now. They realize that this isn't the same AMC 5 years ago, that because of lockdown that was going to bankruptcy. It's not that anymore, and they see that, and that's why they're trying their best right now to buy as many AMC shares as possible. However, with the mistakes that they've made, obviously with the fact that they let us, the apes, buy up all the real shares, and they had to rehypothecate synthetics into the market, that they're worried that they can't settle. They can't find real shares, they can't settle the shares, and they can't buy shares for themselves as well. And that's why we always consistently see them trying to persuade retailers from obviously selling their ownership, from selling their shares of AMC. And so this is why I constantly talk about how these articles are used, yet they're not following what they're saying. You can't say you should stay away from AMC and that AMC is going to go bankrupt, yet in the meantime, you are buying into AMC shares. Everyone's obviously open for their opinion, but you can't say one thing and do another. If they actually meant what they said, they wouldn't be buying into AMC shares. You can see this is the path forward and always has been. Most of us have known this for a long time and are happy with the progress. We're angry about the manipulation which is out of AMC or any company's control. And so, as an ape, you will understand that the fundamentals is extremely important for AMC. Does the fundamental improve? Will that trigger a squeeze? Well, we talked about how that will obviously need AMC fundamentals to do extremely well. However, the important part is when AMC doesn't have good fundamentals, what it does attract is the possibility of bankruptcy. What it does attract is actual sellers. I'm not talking about shorts who are trapped. I'm talking about people who think that AMC is a bad company because there's bad fundamentals and are shorting, right? That's what will happen if AMC was to actually have bad fundamentals. However, we are not in that position. AMC is doing extremely well with fundamentals. The most important thing is that they are showing growth, they are showing improvement, and that beats anything. Now, one thing I do want to add on is, which is obviously the manipulation. Now, we know that is out of AMC's control. We know that is out of any company's control. The people who should control this, the people who should regulate this, has obviously turned a blind eye to this, and they are helping out the institutional friend instead of protecting the retail. And we talked about this for a very long time, but we talked about the pivotal thing as well, which is recently with Genius Group. We talked about how Genius Group has been tracking all of the trade data, and they're obviously making something out of this. And so if we are able to see something be done by Genius Group, then the ball is in our court. We can then understand that AMC will have control over this. But it's also another thing we talked about, then that would mean that AMC will either need to start tracking the data now, or with what Adam Aaron has said in the past, and we talked about one of the hypotheses in terms of the fact that AMC, Adam Aaron, has been keeping track. But because they are a bigger company, because they're faced with more manipulation, more suppression, more synthetic shares, they have more data to keep. They need to keep a longer track of data, and which they need to obviously compile it all together to then actually file it, right? It's all we talked about with it being a hypothesis, but if that is the case, then we can understand how AMC will be in control of manipulation. But you have to understand, in most cases, in normal cases, a company isn't in control of the manipulation, and that's why we see in other countries, the regulations themselves actually comes to take care of it. Another thing is AMC added 244 million cash. Plus, we were definitely cash flow positive April, July to add more. Reduced debt by 143 million. We'll have no debt due until 2029. It was already over, but it's really over now. The patient will win. Meanwhile, Fantastic Four looks amazing and outperformed first day expectations. We got this. Now, here's obviously the look in terms of how well AMC's fundamentals is doing. And like I said, the most important thing is that we are consistently showing growth. We are consistently showing improvement. The next time we're going to be talking about the fundamentals of AMC, we know that it will be at an even better position than where they are at right now, because that's what they've constantly been doing. But also to really understand, the current industry, when you take a look at the box office, when you take a look at the recent movies that has been released, whether it's Jurassic World, Superman, obviously with Fantastic Four as well, we are all seeing so many films being dropped that are doing exceptionally well. And with how AMC has made their investments, we talked about how AMC has obviously seen record attendance. We've seen how AMC has opened up more screens. All of that will lead to more cash flow, to more revenue for AMC. And the very fact we reduced operational costs, that itself is just the ingredient for a healthy company, for a company that's going to be doing exceptionally well. And just like we talked about, bad fundamentals attract sellers. Good fundamentals will attract buyers. And so as we see AMC do even better with the fundamentals, we're going to be seeing even more institutions buying into AMC. And that will be a very hard blow for the shorts, because whilst they are able to route the orders of retails, it will be difficult for them to route the orders of these institutions who are obviously buying tens of millions of dollars of shares. And the only problem is, because of liquidity, because of the lack of real shares, it will be difficult. But another big thing is the fact that if we are seeing institutions buying millions of shares, we're also going to be seeing those shorts create millions of shares, which in hand increases the floor price, increases the pressure on these short sellers, and that will accelerate the squeeze. Now, we're seeing this as we talk about and see AMC improving their fundamentals, as we're seeing the institutional ownership and accumulation going up. we're going to be seeing more and more suppression, especially recently how well AMC has been doing. We talked about how AMC has been closing above max pain for the past few weeks. We also talked about how multiple AMC call options have ended in the money, with a lot of put options going to actually expiring worthless. And so that itself was already applying pressure to the short sellers, and they see that. And the very fact that we know if something's happening which applies pressure to the short sellers, and in the very week we see it being stopped, then it clearly indicates what is actually going on. And so this is why we talked about how shorts are obviously facing huge losses and why AMC's success will beat these short sellers. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching the video. I'll catch you guys next time.